Most people wake up every day without realizing they are walking straight into a future they never chose. They follow routines they didn't design, obey expectations they never agreed to, and chase goals they don't truly believe in. They complain about life, blame luck, and envy those who rise higher. Yet they never dare to ask the one question that could change everything. Where am I actually going? This is why 99.99% of people have no future. Not because they lack intelligence or opportunities, but because they never decide, never plan, and never act. They live like passengers instead of drivers. They move, but without direction. They breathe, but without purpose. They want success, but refuse the price success demands. They wake up with distractions, not intention, and their future becomes a copy of their past, repeated, recycled, unchanged. Comfort silently kills potential. It whispers that there's no rush, convinces you that later is fine, and tricks you into believing everyone lives this way. Years pass, dreams shrink, hope fades, and life becomes something that happens to you instead of something you design. People can plan a weekend trip, but not their next 5 years. They know the world, but don't know themselves. They scroll for hours, but cannot sit alone with their mind. The world has more noise than ever, yet fewer people with purpose. But if you're reading this, you are not the 99.999%. You are the rare one searching for direction, clarity, and control. This is where you begin becoming the 0.01%, the person who builds their future deliberately, intelligently, and relentlessly. The first realization: your future is a choice. Most people believe their future is something written long before they were born, decided by destiny, shaped by fate, controlled by luck, or influenced by forces outside their reach. They think life happens to them, not through them. They imagine themselves sitting in the back seat of a car that someone else is driving. The road twists, the direction changes, the speed rises and falls. But they never touch the steering wheel. This belief is comforting, but it's also dangerous. Because the moment you believe your future is predetermined, you stop trying to create one. But the truth, raw, powerful, and uncomfortable, is this: your future is not written anywhere. You write it, and you write it every single day with the choices you make. Your future is not built in a single moment of inspiration or a dramatic turning point. It is shaped quietly and consistently through your daily decisions. The small choices that seem meaningless, waking up on time, learning something new, avoiding distractions, working on your goals, choosing discipline over comfort. These choices are the seeds planted deep in the soil of your life. Over time, with consistency, they grow into a future you can be proud of. Most people ignore this truth because small choices don't give instant results. You don't become successful after one productive hour. You don't become wise after one book. You don't become skilled after one day of practice. Growth is invisible in the beginning. This invisibility kills billions of dreams. People want quick results, fast success, and overnight transformation. They chase excitement instead of discipline, entertainment instead of education, comfort instead of challenge. And because they don't see immediate rewards, they stop before the seeds can grow. But the 0.01% understand something the majority never realize. If you want a future others don't have, you must be willing to do what others refuse to do. You must be willing to work while others sleep. You must be willing to learn while others waste time. You must be willing to think long-term while others chase short-term pleasure. You must be willing to build your future even when no one is watching, supporting, or believing in you. Your daily choices are the architects of your destiny. Every decision is a brick. Every habit is cement. Every action is construction. You are building your life, whether you realize it or not. The question is, what are you building? A castle or a cage? A future or a prison? A masterpiece or a mess? Your future is not a mystery. It is a reflection of your mindset, your discipline, your vision, your courage, and your consistency. And the life you will live 5 years from now will be the result of the choices you make today. When you take full responsibility for your choices, the world opens. You stop blaming luck, people, circumstances, or timing. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop living like a passenger. You transform into the driver of your destiny. The difference between a lost life and a legendary life is not fate. It is choice. And today, you have the power to choose. The second realization: you must break your automatic life. Most people live the same day over and over again, trapped inside a routine that never changes. They wake up without intention, move without passion, work without purpose, scroll without awareness, and sleep without fulfillment. Days blur into weeks, weeks into months, months into years, and suddenly they look back and wonder where their life went. This is not living. This is existing, and existing is a slow death. The truth is harsh but necessary. If your days look the same, your future will look the same. Nothing changes until you change. Most people are stuck in what I call an automatic life. Their actions are not chosen. They are repeated. Their thoughts are not creative. They are recycled. Their goals are not deliberate. They are accidental. They do what they did yesterday because it's easier than growing. They stay where they are because moving forward requires energy, courage, and awareness. Qualities that the 99.99% neglect. Life becomes automatic when you stop questioning your direction. Your mind becomes automatic when you stop feeding it new thoughts. Your future becomes automatic when you stop designing it. And that's exactly why most people never escape mediocrity. But the 0.01% refuse to live on autopilot. They disrupt their patterns. They challenge their habits. They break the cycle. Every single day, they ask themselves 3 questions. What am I building? Who am I becoming? What is my direction? These questions are powerful because they force the mind to wake up. They cut through distraction. They demand clarity. They force you to look at your life honestly instead of drifting blindly. When you ask these questions consistently, your brain stops operating automatically and starts operating consciously. Breaking your automatic life means breaking the routines that keep you stagnant. It means stepping out of comfortable habits and entering the uncomfortable space where growth happens. It means saying no to distractions, no to time-wasting behaviors, no to the patterns that are killing your potential. It means choosing discomfort today so you can choose freedom tomorrow. When you interrupt automatic living, you begin to notice things others don't. You notice what drains your energy. You notice what inspires your mind. You notice what steals your time. You notice what builds your future. Most importantly, you notice yourself again. The moment you become aware that you are repeating the same life every day is the moment your new life begins. Awareness breaks the cycle. Intention rewrites the pattern. Discipline replaces autopilot, and action creates transformation. You cannot live an extraordinary life with ordinary habits. You cannot create a powerful future with powerless routines. And you cannot rise above the crowd while living like the crowd. To become the 0.01%, you must break the invisible wall of repetition that holds most people prisoner. You must stop being the passenger of your mind and start being the captain of your life. Your life doesn't change by chance. It changes by choice, by intention, by awareness, by action, and by breaking the automatic life that keeps you small. The third realization: pain is part of your future. Most people spend their entire lives running from pain. They avoid discomfort like it's a disease. They escape challenges as if they are traps. They want the reward without the struggle, the result without the effort, the growth without the sacrifice. But life has a rule that cannot be broken. There is no future without pain. Pain is the price of every meaningful transformation. Pain is the doorway to strength, and only those brave enough to walk through that door ever reach the future they dream of. People say they want success, but what they really want is the feeling of success, not the work that builds it. They want the glory, not the grind. They want the spotlight, not the sacrifices in the dark. Success demands sleepless nights when the world is resting. It demands failures that shake your confidence. It demands rejections that bruise your ego. It demands pressure that feels too heavy to carry. It demands criticism from people who haven't achieved even a fraction of what you're trying to build. It demands loneliness when your path no longer matches the crowd's path. Most people cannot handle this. They quit at the first sign of discomfort. They step back when things get hard. They break when life pushes them. They think pain means stop, when in truth, pain means you're growing. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is the mentor you didn't ask for, but desperately need. Pain is the voice that tells you, there is more inside you. Pain is the proof that you are stepping outside the limits that once controlled you. Anything that stretches you will hurt you first. A muscle grows by tearing. A seed breaks before it becomes a tree. A diamond survives pressure before it shines. Your future works the same way. The 0.01% understand this deeply. They know comfort is a trap, sweet but deadly. Comfort feels good now but destroys your potential later. Comfort keeps you average, silent, and small. The 0.01% choose the opposite path. They choose discomfort because they know discomfort shapes character. They choose struggle because struggle teaches resilience. They choose discipline because discipline builds success. They choose the hard road because the hard road leads to the future. The easy road can never give. The majority avoid pain, but avoiding pain creates a different pain. The pain of regret, the pain of wasted time, the pain of unrealized potential, the pain of looking back and knowing you could have been more. The 0.01% accept the necessary pain today so they can live without regret tomorrow. They understand that every great life is built on sacrifices the world never sees. They understand that every strong person was once a weak person who refused to quit. They understand that every champion was shaped by battles no one else wanted to fight. Your future demands pain, but not the pain that destroys you. The pain that builds you. The pain that strengthens your endurance. The pain that sharpens your mind. The pain that cleanses your excuses. The pain that prepares you for opportunities others are too soft to handle. You cannot grow in comfort. You cannot rise without challenge. You cannot evolve without pressure. And you cannot become the 0.01% without embracing the pain that the 99.99% run from. So when life becomes difficult, don't break. Rise. When you feel pressure, don't retreat. Push. When the journey becomes lonely, don't stop. Lead. Your future is waiting on the other side of the pain you fear. The fourth realization. You need a plan, not a wish. Wishing is easy. Planning is hard. And that is why most people stay exactly where they are. A wish feels good. A wish gives hope. A wish creates imagination. But a wish without a plan is just a fantasy, a dream, floating in your mind with no path, no structure, and no chance to become real. Most people never move beyond wishing. They say, "I want a better life," but they never define what a better life looks like. They say, "I want to be successful," but they cannot explain their version of success. They say, "I want to be rich," but they don't build skills, learn money, or study opportunities. They say, "I want to be happy," but they continue keeping habits, relationships, and environments that destroy their happiness every day. This is the tragedy of the 99.99%. They want everything, but they plan for nothing. A wish is a dream without a strategy. A plan is a dream with footsteps. The 0.01% understand the difference. They know that goals without plans are just fantasies that will never come alive. They know that a future must be built intentionally, not accidentally. They know that clarity is power, and without clarity, the mind stays confused, frustrated, and stagnant. A plan does not need to be perfect. Perfection is just another form of fear dressed as standards. What you need is direction, a path, a set of steps, a roadmap that tells you what to do next. A plan turns chaos into order. A plan turns dreams into results. A plan gives your mind focus, discipline, and purpose. When you create a plan, you stop drifting, you stop wandering, you stop reacting to life and start designing your life. Planning forces you to confront your weaknesses, your strengths, your habits, and your priorities. It forces you to take responsibility for your time instead of letting your time control you. Most people don't have a future because they don't have a plan. They live based on what comes next instead of what they choose next. They wake up and let the day decide for them. They take whatever life throws at them instead of throwing their goals into life. They stay busy, but they are not productive. They move, but they don't progress. The 0.01% do the opposite. They map out their future piece by piece. They break big goals into small steps. They transform long-term dreams into short-term actions. They know what they are doing, why they are doing it, and where it will take them. A plan builds momentum. Momentum builds confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency builds success. Your roadmap doesn't need to be perfect. It doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be admired by others. It just needs to exist. Even a simple plan is more powerful than 1,000 wishes. A plan gives your future structure and direction. A plan gives your mind order and clarity. A plan gives your life purpose. Without a plan, you will always return to old habits. Without a plan, distractions will win. Without a plan, dreams will fade. Without a plan, the future will never change. So build your plan. Build it with courage. Build it with clarity. Build it with commitment. The moment you stop wishing and start, planning is the moment your life begins to change. The fifth realization. Your mind is your factory. Your mind is the most powerful factory you will ever own, but most people do not realize this because they treat it like a dumping ground instead of a treasure chest. Everything in your life, your strength, your weakness, your courage, your fear, your success, your failure, is produced inside this invisible factory that works every single second, even while you sleep. Yet 99.99% of people allow anything and everything to enter their minds. They feed it with negativity, comparison, gossip, jealousy, empty entertainment, and distractions that destroy their focus. They allow society to steal their thoughts and shape their beliefs. They let social media decide what is important. Let other people's opinions decide what is possible, and let their environment control their dreams. They don't even realize that the quality of their thoughts becomes the quality of their life. If you fill your mind with fear, your life becomes small. If you fill your mind with excuses, your life becomes limited. If you fill your mind with chaos, your life becomes messy. But the rare 0.01%, the ones who rise, the ones who succeed, the ones who stand out, protect their minds like their life depends on it, because it does. They guard their focus, they filter what they consume, and they choose their thoughts with intention. They read to grow, not to escape. They learn to improve, not to impress. They think deeply, question everything, and reprogram their minds daily with discipline, strength, and clarity. They don't let society shape them. They shape themselves. They build mental muscles just like others build physical muscles. They practice awareness. They challenge their beliefs, and they strengthen their inner world because they know the external world bends to the internal world. They understand that everything begins as a thought. Success is a thought before it becomes a result. Confidence is a thought before it becomes an action. Discipline is a thought before it becomes a habit. When you master your mind, you master your life. When you control your thoughts, you control your future. And when you protect your mind like a factory, you start producing ideas, strength, vision, and resilience instead of doubt, fear, and confusion. This is why most people stay stuck. Their minds are factories producing chaos. But the 0.01% break the cycle by redesigning their mental blueprint, upgrading their thinking, and choosing thoughts that align with the future they want. Your mind can create the life of your dreams or the prison of your fears, and the decision belongs to you. The sixth realization: you must become a builder, not a consumer. Most people spend their entire lives consuming entertainment, consuming drama, consuming gossip, consuming other people's achievements, consuming distractions that keep them busy but not growing. They scroll endlessly, watch without thinking, follow trends without questioning, and allow their attention to be controlled by everything around them. They are always consuming but never creating, always watching but never building, always reacting but never shaping their own destiny. And because they are consumers, they remain dependent. Dependent on motivation, dependent on approval, dependent on opportunities that never come, dependent on luck that never arrives. Consumers wait, builders act, consumers complain, builders create, consumers dream, builders do. The 0.01% understand a truth that 99.99% ignore. Your future is not something you find, it is something you build. Your skills are bricks, your ideas are tools, your habits are the foundation, and your actions are the architecture of your destiny. Builders create value, they create content, create businesses, create solutions, create skills, create opportunities, create relationships, and create momentum. They take responsibility for their growth instead of waiting for someone to rescue them. Builders are not addicted to watching others succeed. They are addicted to building their own success. They use entertainment, but they are not ruled by it. They use technology, but they are not controlled by it. They use their time wisely because they understand that time is the currency of creation. Most people wake up and immediately fall into consumption mode, checking feeds, watching videos, scrolling without purpose, and then wonder why their future never changes. Builders wake up with intention. They learn something new, work on their craft, create something meaningful, explore new ideas, take small steps every day, and commit to improving instead of escaping. They understand that the world rewards creators, not spectators. Everything you admire today, every app, every invention, every book, every video, every piece of art, every business was created by a builder. The people who build shape the world. The people who consume live in the world shaped by others. If you want a future, you must join the builders. You must create more than you consume. You must contribute more than you take. You must produce more than you scroll. The moment you stop being a consumer and start being a builder is the moment your life shifts from powerless to powerful. That is how the 0.01% rise, not by luck, but by construction. The seventh realization: time is your currency. Time is the most valuable currency you will ever own, yet most people treat it as if it were unlimited, cheap, or replaceable. But the truth is harsh and simple. You can lose money and earn it back. You can lose opportunities and create new ones. You can lose relationships and build better ones. But the one thing you can never recover is the time you spend. Every second that passes is gone forever. Every minute shapes your future, and every hour decides who you become. Your future is built with time, not money. Money can accelerate your journey, but time is what builds your character, your skills, your knowledge, your discipline, and your identity. That is why time is priceless. Yet the 99.99% waste it carelessly, scrolling endlessly, watching hours of meaningless entertainment, repeating empty routines, talking about dreams instead of building them, living each day as if tomorrow is guaranteed. They treat time like water, flowing, overflowing, always available. They live without urgency, without intention, and without awareness of how quickly their life is passing. But the 0.01% treat time like pure gold, precious, limited, and impossible to waste. They understand that every hour is an investment, every moment the chance to grow, and every day an opportunity to move closer to the future they want. They don't let people steal their time with drama or distraction. They don't allow boredom or laziness to consume their hours. They use time with precision, like a master craftsman shaping their masterpiece. They break their time into meaningful blocks, learning, building, training, thinking, growing, and because they do this consistently, their progress compounds. They know success is not built in one day. It is built in thousands of well-spent days. They know that time, used wisely, becomes power, and time, wasted, becomes regret. The 0.01% also live with urgency, not stress. Urgency to grow, to learn, to move, to build, to create. They wake up knowing the clock is running, knowing that life is not endless, knowing that every day counts. They understand that time is disappearing every second, which means the best time to start is always now, not later. And the moment you begin respecting time, everything changes. Your discipline rises, your focus sharpens, your habits improve, your excuses disappear. You start choosing progress over comfort, goals over distraction, purpose over entertainment. You begin realizing that the future is not something that happens to you. It is something you build with the time you have. The most successful people are not the ones with the most talent or the most resources. They are simply the ones who use their time better than everyone else. If you want a different future, you must first change how you use your time. Time is your currency, and how you spend it determines what you will become. The eighth realization: you must separate from the crowd. You cannot rise while staying surrounded by people who are comfortable at the bottom. The crowd loves comfort, routine, laziness, and excuses, not because they are bad people, but because comfort feels safe. Most people fear change because change demands effort, responsibility, risk, and growth. That is why the crowd stays exactly where it is, stuck in the same habits, repeating the same mistakes, living the same life, year after year. And the moment you decide to grow, the moment you decide to discipline yourself, the moment you decide to take control of your future, the crowd will begin to pull you back, not out of hatred, but out of insecurity. Your progress exposes their excuses. Your ambition exposes their fear. Your discipline exposes their lack of effort. And because they feel threatened by your rise, they will try to keep you where they are. Some will laugh at your goals. Some will doubt your abilities. Some will question your choices. Some will call you unrealistic. And some will simply distance themselves because your growth reminds them of everything they are avoiding. But if you want to rise, you must learn to walk alone when necessary. You must separate yourself from the people who slow you down, drain your energy, kill your focus, weaken your discipline, or sabotage your dreams. You must distance yourself from those who talk but never act, complain but never change, wish but never work. Growth requires space, and you cannot grow when you are trapped inside the comfort zone of others. The 0.01% understand this clearly. They choose their circle with intention. They surround themselves with people who think big, work hard, grow consistently, and encourage ambition. They choose environments that support their goals, not environments that suffocate them. They choose mentors instead of gossipers, discipline instead of comfort, visionaries instead of doubters. When they need to walk alone, they walk alone, not because they are arrogant, but because they are focused. And the moment you separate from the crowd, something powerful happens. Your mind becomes clearer, your focus sharpens, your energy increases, and your direction becomes stronger. You begin to see possibilities that the crowd cannot see, because the crowd is too distracted to notice opportunities. You start growing faster because you are no longer held back by negativity, laziness, or doubt. You become the architect of your own future instead of a prisoner of your environment. Separation is not rejection. It is elevation. Leaving the crowd does not mean you think you are better than others. It means you are becoming better than your past self. And if you want to reach the top, you must be willing to walk a path that most people will never choose. The higher you climb, the smaller the crowd becomes, because only a few have the courage to rise. Your future depends on who you allow around you. The ninth realization: discipline beats motivation. Most people believe motivation is the key to success, but motivation is emotional. It rises and falls, comes and goes, appears in bursts, and disappears without warning. It is unreliable, inconsistent, and temporary. People wait for motivation to strike before taking action, which is why they never start, never continue, and never finish. Motivation gives you a spark, but it cannot carry you through storms, failures, early mornings, late nights, or difficult seasons. Discipline, on the other hand, is structural. It is the foundation of every great future. Discipline does not ask how you feel. Discipline does not wait for inspiration. Discipline does not care about your mood. Discipline is a decision you make every day, even when you are tired, stressed, bored, or uninspired. Discipline says, I do it because I must, not because I feel like it. That is why the 0.01% rely on discipline, not motivation. They know motivation fades, but discipline stays. They have routines, systems, habits, and daily standards that do not break. They show up whether it's convenient or not. They train whether they are excited or exhausted. They work even when their mind tries to negotiate for comfort. They build momentum through consistency, not emotion. They act first. Feelings follow later. Most people wait for the perfect time, but the 0.01% know the perfect time never comes. Only discipline creates progress. Once discipline becomes your identity, you become unstoppable. You no longer depend on mood swings. You no longer quit when things get hard. You no longer rely on external motivation because you have internal structure. Discipline is what turns ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Discipline is what turns dreams into results. Motivation starts the journey. Discipline builds the future. The 10th realization. Your future is built daily. Your future is not created by one dramatic moment or one big breakthrough. It is created by thousands of small, consistent actions repeated day after day. People look at successful individuals and think something magical happened to them, a lucky opportunity, a special talent, a perfect moment. But in reality, their success was built slowly, quietly, and consistently. Every day is a brick. Every habit is a tool. Every hour is an investment. The 99.99% ignore the small actions because they seem insignificant. They think one day of laziness doesn't matter, one missed workout doesn't matter, one wasted hour doesn't matter. But the 0.01% know every tiny choice of compounds. They understand that small progress done daily becomes unstoppable progress over time. They don't chase perfection, they chase consistency. They build routines that support their goals. They wake up with intention instead of drifting. They use their mornings to create direction, their days to execute, and their nights to review and refine. They know the future is built in the present, not in some distant day. They don't wait for a magical miracle because they are too busy building their future one step at a time. The majority procrastinate and expect big results from small effort, but the 0.01% understand the truth. You are the architect, the engineer, and the builder of your future. What you do today becomes your tomorrow. What you repeat becomes your identity. What you prioritize becomes your reality. If you want a strong future, you must build strong habits. If you want success, you must live successfully each day, not in thoughts, but in actions. The future is not far away. It is being created right now with every decision you make. The 0.01% don't wait for the future. They create it daily. Final message. Become the 0.01%. If you feel lost, uncertain, or disconnected from your purpose, understand this. Having no direction is not the end. It is the beginning of your awakening. Most people live their entire lives without ever realizing they are drifting. They move through days without intention, repeat the same habits, follow the same patterns, and hope the future will magically improve on its own. But the moment you become aware, the moment you stop and question your path, the moment you recognize that you want more, that is the exact moment your transformation begins. Awareness is the first sign of growth. It means your mind is waking up. It means your spirit is rising. It means your future is calling you. You already have everything you need inside you. Potential waiting to be activated, strength waiting to be tested, ideas waiting to be born, resilience waiting to be sharpened, and a fire within you that refuses to die. You are not lacking anything. You are only unlocking what was already there. The future is not a gift that appears. It is a masterpiece you create. The reason 99.99% of people have no future is painfully simple. They never choose one. They never decide who they want to become. They never commit to a vision. They never take the steps that build destiny. But you are different. You made a choice. By reading this, by seeking clarity, by wanting change, by refusing to stay average, you stepped out of the crowd and into the rare category of the 0.01%. You chose direction. You chose awareness. You chose ambition. And choices like these separate dreamers from builders, followers from leaders, and the lost from the unstoppable. Welcome to the 0.01%. Now build your life like it matters, because it does, and it always will. If you're ready to stop living on autopilot and start building a future you actually want, this channel is your guide. Every video is designed to give you practical strategies, powerful insights, and actionable steps to improve your mindset, grow your skills, and take control of your life. No fluff, no excuses, just proven methods to help you think stronger, act faster, and rise higher. Whether it's mastering discipline, creating habits, or achieving your goals, here you'll find the tools to join the 0.01% who don't wait for the future.